Welcome back to the channel. Today we're back on this beast, our 58 Dodge Coronet. In this video we'll continue to work on stripping this paint off, if you can call it that, and the rust, and get it in primer. In case you're wondering how to get these rear panels off, first thing you have to do is take off the window crank, which we covered, then take out the back seat, which locks in with little brackets on the bottom seat here. You just push it back and pull it up. And then the rear seat screws down to these mounts and then rests on this. So you unscrew the mounts and then you push the seat up and it comes right out. So I noticed this one kind of fell forward, but it was still attached with two clips in the front. So one came out with the panel, one's still in here. So there was one up here and one here, but then it still wouldn't come out. So then I noticed there's a screw here that holds this armrest in. This armrest is metal and covered with fabric. And then in the front, I couldn't figure out how this was attached. I checked under the car, didn't see anything. I noticed this metal tab was inside the frame here, so I pulled that out. But I also noticed it kind of goes into this frame support. So I tried to push it forward, that wouldn't work. Then I removed the sill plate because I figured there must be another mechanical fastener. Now this piece of windlace is snapped in with these little clips, so that would have to come out last. So that wasn't working. Then I figured, oh, I know where it is. It's behind the galvanized panel welded to the rocker that comes up here and covers the screw, which is way down in here, because that's not how the floor is supposed to be. So I'll have to trim this so I can get to that screw. So after you step on this, what is this? Self-tapper. After you step on the self-tapper that's coming through the floor for some unknown reason, and cut the galvanized sheet floor down so you can get to the screw, you should be able to get this out. Hopefully this will slide forward. I said, hopefully this will slide forward. Okay. Like I said, hopefully. Okay, there's still one more screw hanging away here. Got it. Okay, just to recap, there was a screw here, one here in the fabric, one down here, and then there were two clips here in the window crack. That's all that was holding this on. Oh, that metal tab that bent over there. I did notice that the inside of this panel is that primer, just like the passenger door that I thought was replaced, because the driver's side door has the original gray color. So here's some of the archaeology behind removing this panel. We got a number 14399, which probably means nothing to me or anybody else, but there's something scribbled here. It's interesting how this is put together. It's just kind of stapled just on the cardboard. But these are in fairly decent shape, so I'm going to try to save these rear panels. Got the rear seat and rear panels out for those who are keeping score. The driver's door is 24 something. The passenger door is 56. The passenger rear panel is, looks like 32.1. The driver's side is 32 or 1.4. So I'm keeping these windlace pieces. These go in front of the rear panels, behind the doors. They are shot, but I can keep them as a pattern. There's some kind of cardboard, rolled up cardboard on the inside, but I'm sure I could remake these. So I'll stash those away for whenever that day comes. And then there's the seats. I know it would be a good idea to at least keep the covers for a possible pattern, but they're so infested with mouse droppings and everything else. They just keep deteriorating. Like by the day, by the minute, it just falls apart. And this seat is just completely shot. I'm thinking, and no one told me this, I'm just making this up, that maybe a C body or possibly a B body seat might fit, which would probably be easier to obtain, you know, someone trying to go from a bench to buckets. This wagon has a power seat. That would be a nice find. Let's talk about this trunk lid. So I used this Bauer tool to remove the finish from this trunk lid, and it worked really well. The problem was, even with the new sanding disc, for some reason the rust and the paint and everything on this trunk lid was just not coming off. There were a lot of spots like this where there were like deep pits, but even like when it went over it and took the surface rust off, there was still a lot of rust, and it took a while to get it off. I had to hand sand a lot of this around the license plate frame because this is all spot welded in. Can't really just unbolt it. And when it was done, it was clean, fresh metal, unlike it is right now. So in order to address these deep pits, I figured I'd use some rust converter or some acid that eats the rust. And based on the research I did online and the availability of the different products, I went with the SEM Rust Mort. It was available and it had good reviews. I watched a few videos on it. Seemed to work fine. So I sprayed this trunk lid with it, top to bottom, front to back, upside, downside, and it destroyed it. I followed the instructions to a T, which aren't on the bottle. You have to actually look them up online. And when I sprayed this area was a good example. It was flat and smooth, and now it's bumpy rust. And it just kept turning to more rust and more rust. It wasn't converting. It wasn't turning black, which meant that the rust had been treated. It wasn't turning white, which meant that there was too much rust and you needed to sand it some more. And it wasn't removing the rust. So after scrubbing it and multiple applications, it just seemed to get worse. And when I rinsed it with water to neutralize the acid, it just turned to a big piece of surface rust. So I had wire wheeled the bottom of this. I wasn't looking for a perfect finish or anything, but I just wanted to clean it up and get rid of the scale. When I sprayed the rust mort on this, these areas where the hinges were, they immediately turned to raw metal, and there was surface rust here. So that was a good sign. The rest of it, not so much. What happened was the white film that's supposed to be bad, and you're supposed to sand it off and then reapply the rust mort, this whole thing turned white. And I have since wire wheeled it again and sanded it again, but you can see some of the white right here and right in there. And you can't paint over that according to the instructions. Can't top coat it or anything. You have to remove it first. And that white stuff was all in here in this seam all the way around. And by the time this thing dried, even though I dried it with a towel and an air compressor, this all turned white, which was the only place that had removed the rust completely. So I resanded all this, rewire wheeled the whole thing. I'll clean it and then I'll prime it and paint it. This side I'm going to hit it with the Bauer tool again, or maybe the DA, and start over again. I know I can be an idiot sometimes, but I followed the instructions to a T and it just did not work out at all. This shouldn't surface rust after being completely rust-free after you apply the acid to remove the rust and convert the rust that it doesn't remove. That's just my view. I skipped the DA and went right for the Bauer, and I needed it. It definitely took a little grunt to get the surface rust off. It was a little more than surface rust, but what a difference. Not really convinced that that acid did anything. It looks like it did, like in places like here, but that still looks a little like rust. This whole area looks a little rusty still. I did notice that there was a lot of Bondo here. Like this whole area was Bondo. And apparently what they used to do back in the day was scratch the metal up so the Bondo would stick. So that's nice. I mean, there's no dent here. I think there were some dings right around the emblem, like there's one there. I don't really see anything else. Cleaned it all off with acetone front and back, and then I got out the Eastwood rust encapsulator and I did around the license plate, and I did all around this edge. Looks good, but that was a huge delay, and it's for a piece that I don't really need to go on right now, and I don't have anywhere to put it, and I don't want to put it on because I want to get that rear glass in first. So kudos to me for being an idiot. All the Eastwood rust encapsulator, all the Eastwood rust encapsulator is dry. I just went around this folded edge and the bottom of the trunk lip there because it was pretty pitted. Now I'm going to hit it with the rusty metal primer, and then Rust-Oleum has a paint and primer in one. We'll hit it with that too. Rust-Oleum satin paint and primer in one. I've had good luck with this stuff. It adheres well, it stays, it doesn't, you know, get fingerprints on it afterwards, so we're going to try it just on the inside of the trunk. Just return it to the black that it was. That paint works well. It's got a nice fan on it, a nice spray to it. Comes out nice and even. Like I said, you can get a can every once in a while that just leaks all over and drips all over and drips when you shake it, and the minute it drips, I take it back to the store and get another one. So there's my advice on that spray paint. But it covers very well, like I said. I am definitely pleased with this. We'll let this dry and then we'll flip it over and prime the top. So far so good. And there's the top side of the trunk lid, and it is looking good. So I did such a nice job on this, and like I said, I don't have anywhere to put it right now. So I really put myself in a pickle, but at least it's done. If it gets a scratch or two or something like that, it's an easy fix. This was really a bear for some reason to get all that crud off it, but I'm happy. Alright, I'll have to find a place to put it. Fixing the window channel. So the first thing I did was shine a light up from the bottom so I could see any pinholes. The holes that were there, I drilled them out on either side and then took my air saw and just cut in between it, so I knew I had good metal all the way around, because the last thing I want to do is start trying to weld to thin rusty metal and then it just blows it all out, and before you know it you got a giant hole. So I haven't done this one yet, so that's kind of where you start, and then I'll drill a hole on either side and cut around it. And then I wire wheeled, and then I took this one, which is really small and tough, I guess, and I ground down in the groove here, and what it did was started to reveal more pinholes, and it actually dug this whole thing out here. So I had taken a pick to this and couldn't find anything weak, but this thing really tore through and found some stuff. So I'll drill this out farther, cut it out. This is going to be a problem because it's so close to the lead. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Try not to get anywhere near the lead. Over here is going to be a major problem because I think the lead is like this whole thing. And you can't weld the lead. Alright, I'm going to drill this out, make a couple little patches, go from there. I have cleaned everything up and made patches. So I took my file and filed out all around it. I've tried to identify every little area that's weak that could potentially have a hole. So these three areas is where I'm starting. I'm skipping this for now. So the plan is, because I still think this metal is really thin, it's probably thin to start with. I am not a welder. I am just an amateur. The plan is to slip these patches behind this panel. The problem is the access isn't that great. So that's me holding this panel against it. A little twisted, and it's not very comfortable, and I'd have to actually probably push on it with a screwdriver or something. So that's the plan. Somehow hold these patches tight against here and just start spot welding it on until I can get a nice bead around it. What I don't want to do is weld it on this side, because then it'll be taller than what it's supposed to be, and I'm probably more apt to burn through if I try to go around and get this edge up higher than down in the little valley here, because there's a nice chunk of metal there if I can get this up and under. And then when I grind these down, because I will be grinding them because I am not a welder, I'll be grinding down to level. So when I put this seal in, it'll go right up against this edge the way it's supposed to be. There won't be like a bump, which will affect the window. So 1, 2, 3, I got those made. Now it's on to this mess. So as I'm getting in and out of this trunk, this panel, which you can see is just tack welded here, it's not really strong at all. It broke away from here. So now when I step here, this whole section starts to sink because this is all rotted out here. There's nothing here. And this isn't really holding it. So I have to step on the frame or here or get up close, because I almost went right through right here. I went through here a little, but yeah, this needs to be fixed. But I need this window in first because I need to put this trunk lid back on, because now that's all painted and pretty, I've got nowhere to put it. Time to deal with this section. So what I see here is this piece, this curve, comes down, comes back up, and it's spot welded to this piece. And below it there's like a little shelf right here, but I don't think that really matters. So I need to make a piece that's curved, comes up a little here, and then comes up to meet this edge to be spot welded to it to create this double edge for the weather strip. So on the Valiant, for some reason I didn't feel like cutting out cardboard templates, and I didn't want to use, or I didn't have regular tape, so I grabbed some clear tape, and that seemed to work. So we're going to try that with this. Once again, not a fabricator, not even close. Just trying to get this fixed so I can drive it someday. Remember, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, let's see if this makes any sense. It's the worst marker ever. Let's try this again. What I like to do is draw the outline somewhat and then draw where the rust is. Hope for the best. Here's my template. So I've taped it on my scrap piece of metal. This will give me that long curve piece, and I can see where the rust holes are. And obviously up on the flat part, I'm gonna have to make it more than one piece. I am not a fabricator. So I'll cut this out and we'll see if it fits. Here's my terrible piece. I'm calling that close enough. I even left a little edge here for this hole. So I might have to drill a spot weld or two here. And then I'll cut out as much as I can without going overboard. It looks like there's 3 pieces here. There's 2 pieces here that come together. And they come down. And there's 2 pieces on this side that are coming across like this. But once I get to here, I'm seeing 3. So there's this piece that comes down and then comes up. And you can kind of see the edge of it right there. And then there's this piece that comes down and this piece behind it. So that's 3. Okay, I'm going to cut this rust out. Okay, that third piece I'm seeing is underneath this. It's supporting the package tray, and it's coming up from probably the quarter or the wheelhouse. Okay, that's fun. It's supporting this. And there's still probably enough of it here. Not like it's gone. It's just a giant hole. Check this out. I almost don't believe it. This is the piece that I cut. My tape's still on it. It literally slides under there. That's a pretty good fit for a first attempt for someone who doesn't know what they're doing. Now I get it, this is too high because it's sitting on top of the quarter and we don't want that, but I can trim it to fit. It fits. Right now it fits. And it's covering this rust. So I'm going to have to cut this out. But then I can just slide this right in. And to get it to go down lower, I'll just have to trim the bottom. And then I'll just make a piece that runs along here. And before I weld this in, I'll weld the two pieces together so there's a little V here at the bottom of this. And then just slide it right in. Now what I did find below here is upsetting, but I don't really think I can fix it unless I tear this whole quarter apart. So there's this piece that's a piece of structure that goes to the wheel well, but it's kind of complicated. There's this tray below the package tray, and it's actually full of rust, like rust particles. And I can't get a vacuum in there, so I'm going to try to run the hose in there and see if it'll come out. But that piece comes up and meets the window channel here. That's the third piece. I was wondering what it was. It's right there. So it's still supporting the package tray. I can see it from here on the inside of the car, but I can't get to it. So there it is up there on top of the wheel well. It's a big brace that comes across, and then it comes over onto the wheel well. There's enough of it there. It's still supporting the package tray all the way across. I'm not going to be able to fix it. I'll take a better look at it, but I really don't think I'm going to be able to cut that out and weld the piece in unless I just destroy this quarter, make a big hole so I can get to it, and that is not in the plans. So I got a couple other things I got to do today. It's the end of the day. I think I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. I'm happy with this. I got my 3 patches and the 4th one has begun, and it's pretty damn good. It's going to be a great starting point when I come out here the next day. I'll just hit the ground running. Time to get the lead out. I need to melt this out of here because this is rusted and I need to weld in a patch, so we might as well make a larger patch. Passenger side turned out nice. There's a little crack here and some holes here which I can easily just hit with the welder. Can easily make a piece to bridge this gap. Driver's side I knew was going to be a problem. I didn't realize there were this many holes though. So this is pretty much gone right here. And we knew this was here. So I'm going to need a fairly big piece here, and I have to fix this. Cleaning this up made me realize that I haven't even wire wheeled this entire window channel. So after I make all these patches and weld it up, I gotta wire wheel it. Here's where we're at. So I need to make a patch for right here. And I noticed some pinholes here, and I started poking it with this, and it just kind of crumbled, and there was a whole bunch of rust, which I had to like dig out. And here we are on the driver's side, much worse. So after I got the lead out, it was just a complete rotted mess. So I'm going to make a couple little patches. I noticed right here, this kind of dives down. So I might just cut this off. Instead, I can't really get behind it and, hammer it flat. So here's my first attempt at a partial patch. So I'll trim this out a little, but the goal is this will be welded here. I'll put some holes in it and spot weld it, and it'll support this edge. And then what I'll do is another 90-degree angle up here, and I'll have my window channel, and then I'll make a patch that goes across the top and down. Let the welding begin. So this is my starting point. Be nice to me. I'm not a fabricator, I'm just trying to patch a hole so I can get this window in. And I've drilled some holes for 2 reasons, maybe more. Spot weld it, to locate it after I, take it in and out a couple times. And I can drill into the rusty car, which I've, wire brushed and grinded on, and it just helps to drill a hole in it, and then I get some nice fresh metal. And then after I tack this in, I made this piece, so this will complete my window channel, and it'll cover this, and once again it'll give me a surface to build on for this piece. So because I have to make a piece that goes from here and covers this hole. That's where we're at. Let's tack that in. That's me welding for the first time in probably a year or more. I know they're not pretty, but there's good penetration and it's on there. There's a lot of rust and debris I'm dealing with, but I'm doing my best. This is the patch panel I'm going with. I've got some holes drilled so I can do some spot welds. And it may look a little ridiculous because it is, and I have to make up some space here. I'll take this off and show you why. When I put a straight edge on this, it's fairly straight on the pillar. When you get down low, it gets way off, and that's the same for the other side. But when you go across, that's way off at the top, and on the other side it's only like this far off. I don't know how easy or difficult this is to see, but this piece comes down very far. It's also sunken in here, and that was where all that lead was. So they filled this in with lead. I'm going to fill it in with this patch panel, and hopefully this works. So I'm making up all this space where that lead was here and up into here. Now I went a little farther because in my experience, where rust lives, the metal gets thinner. So this was all packed with rust, and this is where it's low. So I thinned this piece out on the edges, like extremely. So I'll spot weld it in the drip rail, and then I'll spot weld it here, and then I'll work along here. And hopefully, when all said and done and it's ground down, it'll be flat. And we'll see what happens. There it is. Not my best work, but it's done. So it started right here and originally ended here, and then I kind of trimmed it back, brought it down here. So drip rail looks good. This is a little terrible, but this will all be with the gasket and seam sealer, so that won't even be an issue. This side is done. Much smaller patch. It's only like this wide, and then a little patch here. So that's ready as well. So I'm going to finish up fitting this patch, We'll check back in. So here's the patch panel I made for this section. I took two pieces and welded them together in like a V shape, and that'll slide into here. Hopefully solve my rusty window channel problem. And here's how it fits, which is fairly well. I'm a little worried about this side. It's just a lot of rusty metal. So we'll weld it in and see what it looks like. There it is, the finished window channel. Got some booger welds there, but there's metal behind there. Some of these are better than others. This area, I'm happy with it. It's not the greatest, but it gets the job done. There was so much rust, it just kept getting worse and worse until I could finally find some good metal. Lots of booger welds. But I really just need to have the gasket sit on this channel here. And the stainless trim comes around and covers this entire thing. So I'm good there. And if anybody remembers the last video or two, when I took this apart, this whole trough was filled with seam sealer, but not really completely filled. So I'll buy modern exterior seam sealer and fill this and fill the drip rail. But first I'm going to rust proof it with that Eastwood stuff, prime it, paint it, put the window in with the sealant, and then fill this and then put the trim on. But I am happy. This means I can get the window back in it and move on. Here we go. I'm going to do both drip rails, this top part of the window, roof area, all around the back window, around the gas door, around the trunk, and the gas door itself. Eastwood Rust Encapsulator Plus. I notice this stuff seems a lot thinner when it's warm out, but they say to use it between 40 and 80 degrees when the surface you're doing is between 40 and 80 degrees, which we've got that covered. So let's get to it. Looking good. Got that Eastwood stuff on. It's been drying for about an hour or so. Got in the fuel inlet door and did all inside the window channel and the package tray where it was rusted, and all up the drip rail and behind the rear window. One drip that I can live with. It turned out really nice. It looks a lot better than that rust, that's for sure. I left the bottom of the trunk channel unpainted. It's pretty rusty. We'll deal with it later, and frankly, I probably won't address this anytime soon. One step closer to getting that window back in and getting that trunk lid back on, and so on and so forth. There's only one window in this car. This moth has been trapped in here all day.
So currently, we're trying to find a way to put the rear window in the gasket without losing our minds.
That's an accurate statement.
And our lives. So we're putting rope in the gasket, and then so we're gonna set the window on top of the rope, and then hopefully yank the rope out so the window gracefully falls inside the gasket with no issues or problems in the slightest. And that's what I'm speaking into the earth, or the air. Hey, you gotta speak your dreams out loud. Oh my goodness, this Zoom thing is, okay, there you go.
What, could you see like the atoms on my finger or something?
For a second.
I don't know how this is gonna...
Oh.
I'm gonna cry.
It's okay. Window will still not be in. You're almost there. Kinda.
I need to stay in that corner. That's gonna be the problem area.
You're a problem area.
I will be if this window doesn't go in.
Is that you or the window?
I
got this end if you want to focus on it.
Bring it down. More.
What the heck was that?
Get lost around here all the time.
Yeah. And I'm lost as to why they're lost. Get it?
When I took this out, it was over more on one side than the other, which is kind of how it is right now. I don't know why, but I'm going to start.
So maybe that'll push it in farther so the window can go down a little bit. Oh, dropped a little bit.
Dropped a lot of it.
Do you want me to push down from the inside? Or ignore me. That's fine. That's fine. Just a little bit off.
This might help. Getting this rope out here.
Closer.
Closer. Oh yeah, that helped a lot. This side's the difficult side. This is, I'm pretty sure this is the side that was in farther for some reason. Oh god, I got it again.
Stop doing that. No big deal, just super toxic. Might kill you. Is that corner in?
Yeah. I mean, could be in better. The space in this gasket for the window is barely big enough for the window.
Well, why would it be easy?
It's this gasket came back together. Okay, what was I trying to do?
Any second now.
See if I can slice my finger.
Oh. What if you pulled it that way?
You know, like, I gotta hold it and channel at the same time. It's working.
Okay.
See it? See it?
I see it.
Emerging. It's cutting my hand in half.
I
though.
know.
Oh yeah. They said it couldn't be done.
So close.
What's the big plan now? I really need that rope in that. Somebody put all this crap in here.
Yeah, it was you.
Oh yeah. Stuff's like dripping down in here. Where's the
Drip.
rope? Can you? I need the rope.
What do you need me to do?
That orange handled thing.
Orange handle thing coming right up.
You're supposed to say stat.
What?
You're supposed to say stat.
I thought you were supposed to say stat. Give me that orange handle thing, stat. That's definitely your line.
Okay, fine. You're a terrible surgeon. There's nothing keeping this rope in there, though. That's the problem.
It just fell out.
The whole length of it.
Yeah. Oh.
Get on the trunk.
Get in, yeah, get on. Okay. Stat. See, it's definitely not my line. What do you want me to do?
I want you. Pull the rope. Slowly.
This way?
Yeah.
Oh.
I said slowly.
Yeah, that... it's hard to control the rope.
See it? You know,
Yeah, but the window's not going in there.
the gasket's coming up.
Okay, yeah.
See it?
Yeah.
Once it comes up, it'll just whoosh.
Okay, okay.
Okay, pull straight up and out.
Straight up?
Yeah, like perpendicular to the gasket. Like I was. Come up the rope?
Yeah.
Okay, keep going. Is it coming up?
Yep.
Is it coming up?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes.
Wait for me. Okay.
Good thing I'm super strong. Oh my god. So painful. Oh my gosh. I've hit a tough spot. Oh my god.
Where are you?
I'm right here.
You're over here?
I'm over here.
Left there.
I can't. Okay. Oh. Shoot.
Where did we leave off? Are we all the way back here?
I have no idea. I have no idea. There's a tough spot.
I heard. Yeah, it's not coming up at all.
It was. I think.
No, it wasn't.
Oh my god.
What are you doing?
It was coming up. It looked like.
Check that tape and see what.
Like that, you mean?
Yeah, can you see it?
Yeah, it was doing that. There we go. There. There we go. You didn't get right here.
What's that doing?
Yeah, that's working. It's like so close.
There you go. Ready?
I'm ready. Do you want me to continue it? I'm just kidding. Hold this. There we go. Is it in?
It's close. Keep going.
I don't want to slice your fingers off. It looks like it's in over here, but then over here it's not really. I can't really tell. Oh yeah, there we go.
There we go.
Is it set? Is it in? I don't know. Is it in? I don't know. I'm talking to myself now because it looks like it's in.
Yeah. These corners were stuck.
Okay, but it's in now?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was going to be a little more clear than that, but oh my gosh. Gotta jump out of This now. Okay. Okay, bam. We're done. High five.
Thanks for all your help.
Hey, I did some stuff.
I said
Sounded sarcastic. I was also being sarcastic though, because I didn't do much.
dueling sarcasm.
Dual sarcasm.
Or dueling. Dueling.
Okay. Doesn't dual work also? Because it's two. Dual. Dual sarcasm.
So I put that group in between the gasket and the car. Then you put this in between the gasket and the window. So before you lock this in, before you lock these together,
Before you lock it in.
pull this back, spread that stuff in here.
Right on the window.
So that way you don't get water down in there. And then this goop prevents the water from getting under the gasket. And then hopefully this keeps water out of inside of the gasket.
Okay. And that's it for today.
No, we gotta put this
Oh my
on.
gosh. What? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna stop this video though,
Okay.
because it's been an hour.
It picks up sound like insane.
Why? I thought it was supposed to be a crappy GoPro.
So I finished up the windows. Shut up. Okay, so I wrapped up this window. I got the seal put back together, and I put the sealant around, and then I cleaned it. And it's so clean now that you can see how terrible it is with all the scratches in it. But we're done. Say it.
We're done. Thanks for watching.
You're good. There it is. That frame bent pretty easily. Finally back on the ground and off my trailer. Thank you, Coronet, for your sacrifice and donations.